Welcome back to the Life Well Balanced podcast. Today, I get to sit down with my good friend Casey McNeill, a licensed physical therapist assistant, entrepreneur, and founder of Bold City Therapy and Wellness, right here in Jacksonville. Over the past decade, I've watched Casey grow from a guy grinding through long shifts and student loans to someone who's built a thriving business.
So number one, I think, is lock up your funding. Make sure you have, even if you need to pay another % or two, have at least 2 years locked in. So that way you're not a year in and go to get more money.
But today's conversation is about more than just business. It's about the cost of chasing success and how to recalibrate when your personal life starts tipping or tilting out of balance.
And that's definitely one of my big regrets. And, so I think that's something that you learn along the way is, no matter how important it is for you to succeed, money isn't succeeding. Building a business to a certain size isn't succeeding. Who do you carry with you?
In this episode, we dive into the silent toll financial stress can take on your relationships.
Don't take out your frustrations and your money and your stress from trying to make this huge leap on the ones that you love, because you will.
What it really takes to launch a brick and mortar business and why most people underestimate it.
If you're still truly believing and not pretending. Now, I think it's hard to feel if you're not truthful with yourself.
And how physical therapy is quietly transforming brain injury recovery and reshaping the future of care after trauma.
Think of your brain floating in water, okay? If you had like a snow globe and 90% of it was an object, a really delicate object, and it was floating in water, what would happen if you just shook it really hard?
Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a working professional, or just trying to find more balance between work and home, Casey's story is one you'll feel in your gut and want to hear.
I look at a lot of things in life where, pretty much everybody has 50% happiness, 50% difficulty.
So take a breath, open your heart, and settle in. This is the Life Well Balanced podcast with Casey McNeill and me, your host, Nick Houp. This is the Life Well Balanced podcast with me, your host, Nick Houp.
A life well balanced for me.
For me, a life well balanced is simply
life well balanced is. I think a life well balanced is.
Casey McNeill, my brother.
In the flesh.
Good to see you, dude.
You too, man. It was great catching up.
I'm happy you came and sat down with me. I love spending time with you all the time. We've known each other for a very long time now.
9 years, maybe 10.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Close to 10 years now.
Back in my day.
I want to start by acknowledging you, man. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
I am super proud of the guy that you have turned into over the time we've known each other. And I thank you for always being there as a friend, for support. You were actually my first friend that pre-purchased a copy of the book.
Number one, baby. Number one.
So I just appreciate the guy that you are, the things that you do, and just really what you're all about, brother. So thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. And, I think one thing is, when you get someone genuine in your life, like yourself, it's easy to go out of your way to just kind of be there or talk to or meet with or do a favor for or ask a favor for. It's harder to ask for a favor than do a favor.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it's kind of easy to tell the genuineness of yourself just as a person. I've gotten to meet your parents and they're genuine people and, just kind of comes down the tree that way. So yeah, just want to say right back at you. Thank you for 9-ish years of friendship and 90 more.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I plan to be 130.
130?
Something like that.
I mean, with the rate we're going, why not?
Like Ricky Bobby said, with my salary in today's science, be 240, 250 years old.
So what we start with is called Who, What, and Why. And it's a big question for big answers, and it lays out the foundation of where we're going to go with this chat today. So who has inspired you throughout your life to help you become who you are today?
Okay.
What experiences have you had that shaped and molded you to you? And why do you do what you do?
Okay. So let's start with who. I mean, first off, I feel like one of the lucky ones where I had two parents that sacrificed everything for my brother and I. I know, on your end of things, very similar where, I look back now, I didn't realize what my parents were sacrificing. And I'm talking soccer games an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours away every weekend for years. Then it went to basketball. Then, high school. And then I played in college also and trying to travel across the country and see me. And so, shout out to mom and dad. The older I get, the more I realize what they gave up for not only myself, but my brother as well. Best big brother in the world. He always was there for me. One thing that kind of him and I have that we've always really kept each other close is golf. And I'm sure we'll get into a little more golf stuff, but at the same time, it's really cool to have something like that where every year him and I go on a golf trip and we get to spend 3 or 4 days together, and our wives are very supportive of it. Just knowing that brotherly time of being able to just, kind of be ourselves and kind of just say, let's leave everything behind. We're on our dream golf trip for 3-4 days. We've done, we've done Bay Hill, we've done Stream Song, Copperhead. So it's Orlando, south of Orlando, Tampa. We did one in Jacksonville. So we just hit up about 4 of the really nice local courses. And then we played in my member guest. And so that's a 4-day event where you're playing a 2-man tournament versus 5 other 2-man teams, all like graded by handicap. Golf's done by handicap. So it's very fair matchups. And then if you win your group, you go and you play all the winners of the other groups. We didn't win. That's okay. We had a great time. But it was just cool to compete with them again. We played high school golf together. And so it had been, not to age myself, but 24 years since we had competed together. So that was kind of cool to be on the same team as him and relying on each other, having fun. So definitely family is, two of my biggest probably shout out to who has made me who I am today. I had a mentor in the physical therapy world, Karen Hartzell. She's in Ocala, Florida, which is where I went to high school. And my uncle was a physician and knew her pretty well and kind of reached out to her and said, can you help my nephew out? He wants to become a physical therapist. So no questions asked. She brought me in, immediately allowed me to start shadowing, offered me a job. So summers from, I don't even know, maybe junior year of high school, senior year of high school, all the way through college, summers, Christmas breaks, things like that. I would go home. I'd work as a physical therapy tech, treating patients, helping, learning. She would kind of grab me and say, hey, this is a really interesting evaluation. Come on in this room really quick. I want you to listen and see what I do to these patients to see how I figure out what's wrong, how to help them, so on and so forth. So physical therapy wise, she was definitely one of my biggest reasons I am who I am today. Now, I will say her biggest piece of advice to me was don't ever own your own clinic. And if you ever want to open your own clinic, come to me and buy my clinic. And I think that I kind of took that to heart. And I kind of, I never did want to own my own business. I come from a family where we're just the hardest working employees at every place and probably some of the more lower paid employees at every place we go. I thought that was normal. I thought that's what life was. And my parents taught me that work ethic is going, can take you anywhere at any time. So I use that for school, sports, now in real life. And, I think that there's a few different things that happened to get me to where I am today. I always wanted to be a doctorate of physical therapy, a DPT as they call it. When I finished my undergrad program, I played basketball in college. So I went up to Cleveland, Ohio, Notre Dame College on the east side of Cleveland, which is no longer a school because 2 years ago it went out of business. I studied biology. I was a pre-med undergrad. So I think I had a 3.69 GPA, 3.68 GPA, which wasn't good enough to get into DPT school. So I had a few different options. As I was back working for Karen in Ocala, she had a PTA working for her, which is a physical therapist assistant, which is what my degree is now. And speaking with him, I tried to figure out what schooling goes into this. And of course, the question, what salary do you make? And after speaking to him a bit, I kind of realized that he gets to treat all the patients. He doesn't have to do the initial evaluation and then move on to another initial evaluation, move on to it. You get to keep that patient and treat them all the way through, which is, me, like I just like hanging out with people. So if I can help them and hang out with them and get to know them over 10, 12, 18 sessions, whatever it might be, I love my job. So I ended up going to physical therapist assistant school, started working for a hospital for about 3 years. The hospital started really losing volume, or the volume they did have became more long-term living there versus short-term rehab. I know you know the health industry quite well, but long-term is a lot less physical therapy. Short-term, you're going somewhere because you can't just directly go home. You're going to go to the hospital 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're going to get a lot of therapy, and then you're going to go home. That was our job. After about 2.5, 3 years, they just didn't have the volume. And after 2.5 years, I was still the first hired, or I should say newest hired.
Yeah.
So my hours got cut tremendously, and I ended up leaving, and I found an outpatient job. In other words, like what you would think of as going to an appointment versus being in a hospital and the therapist comes to you. So went to work for an outpatient company, and they were incredible. They taught me so much about the industry, and probably more taught me business, taught me how to run a business, how to market, how to handle certain things. So they had a big specialty in the auto accident, personal injury industry, and I never knew anything about it. So over those 3 years, I learned everything that I could. Literally went to the boss one day and I said, "Who does our marketing?" And she said, "Well, I do, but there's just too much to do. I don't have time to get out there." In my mind, I thought that was the craziest thing I've ever heard. I now totally understand what she was saying. However, at the time, I thought that was crazy. So I said, "How about I do the marketing?" And they said, that's fine, but we can't pay you. Like, you can go do this. We'll teach you how to do it. But at least for right now, we don't have the funds to add another, And I said, that's okay. If I do really well, maybe we come up with a bonus structure. So I started doing the marketing, started getting some contacts. And I mean, within like a month, I think I had an hour a week to market. And she was like, "You might be the best marketer we've ever had." As they say, my office manager told me this morning, you could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves or something like that. So I ended up loving that part of it as well. And now I kind of have, a lot of the portion of what it would be needed to run your own physical therapy company. And my mother, for her whole life, was an office manager for medical clinics. So when it comes to compliance, licensing, billing, scheduling, all the things that I wasn't mastered at, she was. So we had a long family talk. She lived 2 hours away in Ocala. I'm in Jacksonville at this point. And we come to the conclusion, again, I think God just stepped in and said, "This needs to happen. This is what I need you to do." So I think it was the day after we talked, my mom was like, "It's a 2-hour drive there, 2-hour drive back. I have a job. I just don't know if this is something that, I don't know. Let's think about it. Let's pray about it." The next day she got let go out of absolutely nowhere. It was a sale of a company. She didn't even know about that, so on and so forth. So before you know it, the next day she's like, "I know this is a sign that I'm supposed to come help you." So shout out to Mom for 2.5 years, driving 2 hours on Monday, staying with my wife and I. Shout out to my mom for having your mother-in-law live with you for 2.5 years until Thursday. Shout out to Dad, because he was alone by himself Monday through Thursday. Dad doesn't like being alone. He doesn't like to cook for himself, none of that stuff. So that was tough. It was tough on the whole family. All joking aside, it was a really tough decision.
Still sacrificing in their adult lives while you're in your adult life.
Beyond what you can imagine. Yeah. And looking back on it, I actually think my wife and my dad suffered the most. Mom and I got to be a part of this exciting, growing thing that we get to know that this is going to become our family's, I don't want to say our family story, but a big piece of it. And Dad's left at home. He had just retired. And my wife is trying to work full time, come home to probably our biggest fault, come home to my mom and I talking business all night and just not having me. And that's definitely one of my big regrets. And, so I think that's something that you learn along the way is, no matter how important it is for you to succeed, money isn't succeeding. Building a business to a certain size isn't succeeding. who do you carry with you? How do you treat the ones you love that are close to you, so on and so forth. So I've definitely learned from my mistakes, and I hope that I can, share that with others that are looking to build a company. Is, if you're married, have children, etc., realize that, yeah, you can. I realized I could work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it didn't affect me because I knew what I had to do to make it. Back to kind of that work ethic thing. That's all I knew growing up was work ethic. What I didn't know is how much it hurts specifically my wife, and how much I neglected that part of my life because I was focused on this part of my life. So kind of like your entire book is about tilting the balance, where I was on a one-sided seesaw for at least 3 years, and I didn't know it. So I appreciate my wife for being a strong-willed woman to call me out on my
I was
BS.
going to ask when did that shift happen? Because and Bailey won't hesitate to
Bailey will speak her mind.
let you know.
She will.
So that was going to be my question as you're talking about this stuff. Like, what shifted to make you realize that you were doing that? And once you did discover that shift, what kind of boundaries did you implement into your personal life and your business life to kind of bring that seesaw back?
Let's be clear. I'm not great at this yet. We're still bouncing all over the place. I think that most importantly, I think she mentioned a lot of things that just, yeah. We're busy. We're grown. Hey, look how good we're doing. Hey, look how, and before you know it, it was like, stop. Like, I don't have a husband. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you're not here. When you're here, you're not here. I think that was probably one of the phrases that, I don't know if you use the word, kind of broke me. Oh man, like her hurting makes me hurt.
And as a man, you're like, I'm doing this to provide.
I thought I was doing everything
for us.
perfect.
Yep.
But it was not. And when you look back at it, you're like, oh my gosh, what were you thinking?
Presence over perfection.
Exactly. When I was home, it was, how do I get that next client? How do I get another referral source? How do we make enough money? Because, I mean, without getting into numbers, let's just say we were 6 figures in the hole starting up. Brick and mortar companies are unbelievably difficult to start. Couple things I learned the really hard way is go after your funding before anything else. You always think like, oh, there's all these like startup business funding companies and stuff like that. And you know what the first thing they say? Like Bank of America literally has a branch called the Startup Business Fund, company, like fund or whatever. I called them. They're like, all right, we need your last 2 years of P&L. And I was like, no, we're a startup. Like, that's why I called you. And they're like, oh, we don't deal with anyone that's not less than 2 years in. That's not a startup. Why are you named startup? You should be named 2 years in companies that need loans.
Yep. A ramp
up.
up.
Exactly. So you learn the hard way. My wife's father was so big and kind of stepping in and assisting us with some loans that we paid back very quickly. But without those loans, who knows what would have happened? We may not, probably just gone out of business and not be where we are today. So incredibly thankful for, all the people that helped us through that process. But yeah, that was one thing I learned the hard way was while you're still working, let's say you're working a job and you want to start a new company, go get that funding to where you have all the proofs of the W-2s. And believe me, until the final paperwork is signed, they continue asking for W-2s all the way up to the day you sign. And then after you sign, then it kind of goes away in that sense. So if you're looking to quit your job in April and start the business in May, you better have the funding locked up by April while you can still prove that you have monthly funds coming in. After that, they don't really ask for that.
So if you're not looking at the bank for funding, who do you talk to? Is it like a hard money lender, like your father-in-law?
I mean, we're blessed that my father-in-law was in the position to be able to assist us. We had some small loans from a couple other family members. I think they all knew and believed in me and believed in us that we were going to do what we needed to do. But at the same time, it's tough to go ask a family member for money. So,
and it's like, too, you got to make sure you have that vision, right? To where no one's going to just give you money if you're like, well, I think I want to start a business. It's, what do you want to start? Yeah. What's the belief in it? What are you looking to do? How are you looking to make a difference? And when you figure that out, then people will get behind you because they can see that vision and that belief in yourself, right? Like we just got funding for the first batch of prints. And so it's all printed right now. And it's wild how it showed up. And it happened to be a best friend of mine from college.
Wow.
And he just happened to be passing through from Orlando. And he was like, I'm gonna crash on your couch. We haven't seen each other in person in 10 years. And I said, hey, I need this much money. Do you want to give it to me?
Right.
And he said, your timing's really good because I just talked to my CPA and he said I had to spend a bunch of money from my business. I got money sitting around. So that's what I want to talk about too.
Time out really quick.
What?
How many people have that problem that no one else in the world realizes?
Exactly.
Back to you.
There's so much money out there.
Oh, man.
We have a guy we've been meeting with helping us just guidance with the podcast stuff and different things like that. Very successful, wealthy guy. And the first time we met, he said, what's your biggest struggle? And I said, time and money. And he said, money's easy. Time is your struggle. Find the time, the money shows up.
Yep.
And I didn't have this funding yet until I switched my thought process of money is easy.
It is.
And there's so much of it out there. And I think what people think, especially people like us, how we grew up, my dad worked in a factory and was on disability after that. And so it was middle class.
Yeah.
And so it was very difficult to think about how much money was out there because you didn't see it every day. And there's a lot of people out there that don't see it. And I think that a belief system that a lot of us have is if you are able to get money, it's taking it away from something else, or there's not enough to go around.
I think most people there's just not that much money.
They print more of it every day.
Every day. It's literally fake.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Monopoly?
I have.
That's worth about the same as the dollar nowadays.
Yeah.
Don't get me down that rabbit hole.
So I hope this brings people some hopefulness or belief that it can happen. Now, what kind of mindset do you have to go through? Because when you're building your business, you step away from a career, you're building a business, you have some funding, you're not making any money, right? The stress and anxiety.
I have a good story for you.
Run it.
Number one story. I tell this to everybody. My wife is a nurse. She's now into more what I would call like the management sales side of things, kind of upper management probably would be a better word. But at the time she was a floor nurse, and which is where we met at the hospital. And floor nurses make a decent living. I wouldn't say you're going to be rich and buying Lamborghinis, but like they make a decent living, specifically when you're in your 20s. That's pretty good money when you're in your 20s. Let's be honest. So we start the business, and I really don't know time frame, but it was sometime in the first year. And I mean, we couldn't do anything. We don't go out to eat. We don't buy anything. We don't go anywhere. We don't do anything. Everything goes in the business and then some, and then there's not even close enough left over. Credit cards racking up, loans racking up, etc. So she bought a t-shirt from Amazon one day, and I get home and I open it up, and it's a t-shirt. I mean, $20, $15. I mean, it's not a fancy t-shirt, and I lose it. We're just buying t-shirts left and right. What do you think this is? We can't afford a t-shirt. And I lose it on her. And in that moment, I felt like I was right. Now, granted, I do our finances, and I knew the stress we were under and where we were. I don't know if she ever knew where we were at the beginning, but it's a t-shirt, and she was making a good living. So again, at the beginning, I wasn't thinking it's all about me, but I was thinking it's all about our business. So later, it's all about us. Mm-hmm. The one-sided seesaw can only last for so long. You can't treat people and hold people to the sacrifices and what you're willing to do and expect them to do the same. So I think one of the important things is to realize, don't take out your frustrations and your money and your stress from trying to make this huge leap on the ones that you love, because you will. So at least hear this now and consciously think about it, because I had never thought of it or heard of it prior. Yeah. And that's kind of the story we go to. Like, so, it must be nice to be where you guys are at now. Like, if you only knew, like,
Mhm.
you have no idea what we went through to get to where
People
we are
praise you in public for what you did in private.
now. Yep. And so I spoke to a gentleman who has a similar business to mine, but probably 20x the income of what we bring in. 4 locations, massive. And he mentioned the must be nice. And he came from a pretty low income family, and he came from a pretty low income style of life growing up. And he's retired his parents and bought them a house and lives very comfortably. Let's just say that. And he said, "You're damn right. It's nice. Like, you have no idea what I did to get here.
Yeah.
It's really nice to be here." And I think it's almost, I look at a lot of things in life where, pretty much everybody has 50% happiness, 50% difficulty. You have some drinks, you do some drugs, you take a whole bunch of happiness away from the next day. You're stealing it all today, it goes tomorrow.
Oh,
You're staying up
interesting.
too late playing video games. You're stealing happiness from tomorrow. Before you know it, your whole 50-50 tilt is gone. Let's go back the other way. You get in an ice bath. That's not fun. I mean, it's great. It's great for you, probably more mentally than anything, but physically also. That's just going to give you happiness later on. Have you done an ice bath?
I don't do ice baths, but every day I crank my shower.
Freezing
as
cold
cold
shower.
as
I
it
think we've
goes.
talked about this for 10
Oh
years.
yeah, the Ray Lewis.
I call it the Ray
The
Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
And I just
I forgot that we
silently
did that
scream
together.
into the shower,
Woo!
as hard as I can, especially like this morning, because that, like, it has a lot of, science that goes into it. But
Yeah.
I mean, you're releasing dopamine, all these other things. And really what you're doing is sacrificing for a short period to have a better day.
Yep.
Or-
I totally
or week or
forgot we
whatever. Yeah,
started that
yeah.
together years ago.
So I don't know. I don't know where I came up with this whole like stealing happiness from tomorrow, but it's
I
a
love
thing.
it.
Think about it. Like,
Yeah,
it
I
really
love it.
is a thing. Whatever decisions you make today will affect tomorrow. Whatever decisions you make this year will affect next year. Try to keep it on that scale. So starting a business is taking 10 years of misery and putting it into 2 years. And you're just living pretty much no time and no money, which typically time and money kind of balance each other out, specifically once you start finding your niche and stuff like that. You deal with all the crap at first.
Mhm.
And that's why I don't think that owning a business is for a lot of people, because if
Right.
you can't mentally go to the depths for long periods of time, for months, for years. I think I took my first paycheck 20 months in, 19 months in. So not only did I not take any money, but we maxed out every credit card
Yeah.
we had, everything we had a chance to. Soon as we started bringing money in, father-in-law, parents, whoever loaned us money, credit cards, etc. So I also think you get a feeling of like, I don't deserve the money. This has to go to everything else that I borrowed from. I need to thank them for what they did for me. Which they don't think that.
Right.
They don't. And so that's something that you almost punish yourself in a way for, which you shouldn't. But it was really cool to see that first paycheck.
Yeah.
I was going to pin it on the wall, but we needed it too much.
And then and then too, you get to that point of, oh, I don't even know what it's like to make money. So
None.
I don't know if can I spend this? Can I buy this? What do I do with it? Like, it makes me think of a story that I heard about Eminem when he first signed his record deal and his first album hit, and he called his accountant or whatever and was like, hey, I see this watch, like, can I buy this watch? And they're like, you can buy whatever you want. And he was like, you don't know, because you've been so programmed. And then going through those few years of budget, scarcity, I can't spend this, not even eating out. And then now you're making money and it's like, I can't buy that because I can buy it.
Yeah.
And let's talk to a specific person. Let's talk to how old were you when you started your business?
2017. So I was 32.
32. Man, early 30s. Look at you now. Must be nice.
Must be nice. 40-year-old. You got these multiple locations. You do this, you do that. Must be nice.
So let's talk to 32-year-old guy, married for a couple years, few years.
2 years at that point.
2 years, man, that's wild. 32-year-old guy, married for 2 years. Give them 3 things. They're starting their business.
I'm speaking to myself, but 8 years ago. Okay, 9 years ago.
They're starting their business, fairly recently married. 3 things. This is what you do.
Okay. Like I said earlier, I think on a business side of things, lock up your funding before you lock up anything else. Typically, that funding is going to last for 12, 24, 36 months. It all depends on what you're doing. I mean, you can go here's another thing. You're like, okay, well, I have $300,000 equity in my home. Go try to get that equity out if you don't have a job. They don't give you a penny.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't prove that you're making money to pay it back, still a loan, you get nothing. So again, I think the line of credit I have now is 12 months. The last one I had was 24 months. In our business, the way the personal injury world works, there's a lot of ebbs and flows, waiting for a lot of settlements, different things like that. So when it rains and it pours, there's no in between. So it's really nice to have a line of credit set up to where it's like, I don't have to worry about paying payroll this week. 2 months from now, a whole bunch of stuff comes in all at once, and then you just pay that back and you keep going. So number one, I think, is lock up your funding. Make sure you have, even if you need to pay another % or two, have have at least 2 years locked in. So that way you're not a year in and go to get more money and they say, what are you making? What's your W-2? Mine was 0 after a year. Mine was damn near 0 after 2 years. So that's probably number one. Number two, when it comes to family, specifically in my case, my wife, but whatever your case may be, I think number one is I would have done everything the exact same way I did it, but shut work off when I get home. So I might be gone for, I would leave the house at 7 and I would get home at 7. It's pretty much 12-hour days. But then I would get home and
Still be at work.
Guess what happened with this? Guess what that? I got to do this. I got to do that. So on and so forth. Even worse in my case, my mom was there. She was the only other employee. All of a sudden we're talking work and my wife is sitting there at the table. So really focus on shutting off work and or explaining why you need to do whatever that work is at home. And an every night explanation doesn't cut it. But hey, I have an important call tonight. They're going to be calling between 8 and 9. I know we'll probably be eating dinner. I'm sorry. That helps a lot more than, hey, I got to take this call and walking off the dinner table. So that's probably number two. Number three, pretty much the advice that I give everyone is really try to sit down and make a business plan. Be really serious about it. Pretend like you're giving this business plan to the bank or to whoever you're going to ask for money or whatever it might be, In my case, we needed a brick and mortar, we needed funding we had a doctor at the beginning that was 1099, a PT that was 1099, myself and my mother. Got to pay them. Mom was pretty cool about it. We went about 12 to 16 weeks without paying her. I back paid her for everything. But again, that's the sacrifices she was willing to make. Drive from Ocala for 4 days every week, work 12-hour days, then go home. And so I just think that you got to realize that it's going to take twice as long and twice as much money of your best guess. I think that's probably what should be your golden rule. So do your homework, come up with, this is going to take 8 months and this is going to take 20 grand. Okay. Your answer is it's going to take 16 months and it's going to be 40 grand. I promise you.
Wow. With all of that, let's talk about faith.
Okay.
You have a lot of faith and you have always been a positive guy. If I'm someone that has started a business, I'm 6 months, a year in, and you're not seeing the results yet, what kind of faith do you have to have? What kind of mindset do you have to have? And what do you need to tell yourself when you're going through that?
Faith is everything. You need to be able to truthfully put yourself at peace, talk to God, and feel this is still the right thing to do. I think forcing becoming an entrepreneur is one of the worst things that you can do. Well, I see everyone else doing it, so I'm going to go do it. Starting my business is because I saw a huge need. I saw a huge need. There was almost no physical therapy in the personal injury world. There was 2% of where people went when they got injured was to physical therapy.
And we're in Florida where it's the highest percentage of car accidents.
Exactly. So chiropractors had 98% of the business.
Wow.
You're seeing a shift towards, I call it MDPT, so a doctor, physical therapist. We actually just came to agreement with a new doctor that he starts next week. Dr. Ralph Rizek is a orthopedic board certified surgeon. He is going to be our supervising MD for all of our auto cases.
Wow.
Really exciting. We've been outsourcing this for the last 6 years, which has worked tremendously. But as you grow, new problems come about. Problems are problems. Sometimes your buddy had a problem because he had too much money. That's a problem. You're going to pay too much taxes on it. You're going to do this. You're going to do that, so on and so forth. Problems are problems. And I think, one of the things that we ran into is I want to be able to rely on our company for everything that's needed in the process and not have to beg and plead to a third-party company. Can you do this at this time at this place? Which that company that we worked with for years was amazing. So that was a blessing in itself. But I lost my train of thought. Where were we? We were talking
We're
about
talking about faith and mindset.
Right. I think knowing in your heart that you're going down the right path, you can pretty much handle anything. You can handle not having money. You can handle not having time, so on and so forth, if you're still truly believing and not pretending. Now, I think it's hard to feel what is, if you're not truthful with yourself.
Yeah.
Everything I see is after 12 months, you shouldn't give up. You should keep going. Like, well, what is your problem? Were you starting a clothing business and no one is buying your clothes? Or
Been there, done that.
or did you start a landscaping business and there's no employees? You have plenty of money waiting to be given to you, but you have no, so there's different problems you run into. Start looking into those problems and see, is this solvable? Can I handle this problem? You can find more employees or you can work more hours for those projects. You can't really make people buy your clothing line. That's you can try harder with sponsorships. You can try harder with marketing. You can try harder with all these things, but there's not people saying, I want that shirt. And you're like, I can't get it produced. That's a whole different problem, So I think being truthful with yourself, what is your issue? Can you just not find your product, your service, your whatever it is, people don't find it valuable? Because that's a whole different story.
To swallow right there.
That's a whole different story than I can't find enough employees. I can't find a manufacturer. I have all these people waiting to give me money. I need to fill in these gaps, because in that sense, start looking for a mentor. Let's just go back to clothes. Go into maybe a boutique who is in a nice part of town and just say, hey, how did you end up finding a manufacturer? You don't even need to go to that manufacturer. Just say, who did you talk to? How did you come about that? It's like problem solve. Find a way to solve that problem. But if you don't have a need for what you're trying to do, let's say you're a transportation company. Everyone you talk to is like, we don't really need that. What are you fighting for?
Yeah.
There might not be anything to fight for. So maybe a little more caution of like, is your issue the product or service, or is it you can't fulfill the product or service that you need?
Interesting. I didn't see that coming. You had mentioned chiropractic having, you said 98% of the auto accident business?
That was about 9 years ago.
So if I'm someone, I might not know what physical therapy is.
Okay.
What's the difference between chiropractic and physical therapy? And with physical therapy, what is it that you do differently that makes you stand out from everybody else?
So one thing that I think most people don't realize is both of our DPTs, our doctors of physical therapy, are certified in cracking necks, backs, you name it, every part of the body. I think that's something that is, kind of I need my back cracked kind of thing. Cracking a joint is not always bad if it's done in a safe way. There are professionals that don't do it in a safe way. Most do, but there are some that don't. Just because they have a license doesn't mean that they're doing the correct thing. I would say that most people don't realize that we do that. And another thing is really all you're doing when you're cracking your back, cracking your knuckles, cracking your neck, cracking whatever it might be, is you're releasing gases into the surrounding tissue, which gives a couple hour kind of signals to the brain and gives a calming reaction for a couple hours. You haven't solved anything. You haven't aligned anything. If someone tells you that they're realigning your spine by cracking their back, you're being lied to, which happens every day. That's not what's happening.
It's funny you say that, to interrupt you real fast. My 2.5-year-old, I cracked my knuckles the other day and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm cracking my knuckles." And she goes, "Why?" And I go, "Because it's a habit."
That's a really good point. And I've cracked my knuckles my whole life. Pretty cool experiment a guy did. I think he went 40 years, 30 years, something like that. He was a medical professional. I don't remember what he was. He cracked all the knuckles on one hand once a day or multiple times a day and never did the other hand. Took x-rays every 6 months or 3 months, something like that, for like 30 years. Absolutely no changes between the two of them.
Interesting.
Again, how are you cracking your knuckles? Are you jamming them every time, or are you kind of safely? The correct way to do it is get to end range and just we call it I'm not putting on the spot, I'm gonna forget it. High velocity, short amplitude. So in other words, you're only moving it a very, very, very short portion. And that's the same way you should crack necks, backs, everything else, but it's at a very high velocity. So let's say I'm cracking someone's back, you get them 90% of the way down, and then it's a 10% high quick velocity and not 100%, which is what most people would do, their friends or whatever it might be. And then again, okay, back to the physical therapy, crack the back. Okay, I feel a little better. I can move a little better. All right, well, come back to me tomorrow. I'm going to do it again. Come back to me tomorrow. I'm going to do it again. Come back to me tomorrow. I'm going to do it again. What have you done? You've done nothing. So our main focus is how do we long-term make this patient better? So truthfully, the only real science behind a long-term improvement in specifically disc injuries and other spinal type injuries really goes with any part of the body, but the spine is its own animal, if you will, is by strengthening and stabilizing around the injury. So I always compare it to when you build a house, you can have the nicest house that you've ever seen in your life built out of concrete on sand. Good luck. It doesn't matter. The first storm that comes, it's gone. There's no foundation. So if you don't build the foundation, for example, if you're not building up the hips, the gluteus medius for a low back injury, you're not doing your job. You're not building your cement foundation below the house to be able to let that house survive. A wood house on cement is going to last a lot longer than a concrete house on sand. So I think that physical therapy's main focus is a long-term. It's not a cure. It's not a word I like to use, because you're solving a problem and then you're educating that person on how to solve that problem. And a massive injury is going to be there. So we deal with a lot of cervical whiplash, lower back injuries from traumatic, we're much more meant to have vertical forces, jumping, things like that, than we are horizontal forces. So we really get messed up. That's why car accidents are so awful, because everything is that quick horizontal movement where the spine shifts, different things happen, discs bulge, herniate, so on and so forth. So the main way that we get people's quality of life back is by getting them strong in the areas that need to support that, and B, by educating them why we're doing it and how you continue to do this. Because if you're going to have to go to a medical provider the rest of your life to continue treatment, they may not, there are cases, but they may not have your best, they may not have you as the most positive thing in their mind. It might be more money. That's one thing to think about. You should see improvement when you're treating. If you don't, have a talk with your medical professional and look, is there another option? Can we continue this and add another option? Let's say. And
get a second opinion.
Correct. We have a patient right now, unfortunately. She was injured by a chiropractor in a different state after a car accident, because it was a very unsafe maneuver that he did on an already injured neck. And she has a spinal cord injury now. so dangerous, and he's a professional. He has a license. He went to school. So you can't just say, oh, his license is on the wall. I thought, so
Yeah.
do your own research, really dive into ChatGPT does pretty good these days. What is the most beneficial way for me to improve after injuring my spine, so on and so forth. Long story short, we really focus on long-term improvement of a patient and how to get them understanding how they're going to continue to thrive for the rest of their life with the injury that they've had.
And then with car accidents and stuff too, I'd imagine there's a lot of brain injuries and
Yes.
head injuries. So what are some things that physical therapy or your clinic specifically work with, do?
Yeah. So traumatic brain injuries, TBIs, concussions, pretty much anytime you get in a violent movement, there's going to be some type of either damage or injury to the brain. Some are very minor. If I punched you in the leg right now, you're injured. In 3 minutes, you're fine and you never knew you were injured again. That's not really the worry of most people. But the thing that most people don't realize is, think of your brain floating in water, okay? If you had like a snow globe and 90% of it was an object, a really delicate object, and it was floating in water, what would happen if you just shook it really hard? It would just bang into the sides, right?
Mm.
That's where most brain injuries come from. I always hear patients say, yeah, like I have really been having a lot of symptoms. Headache is important, but that's not, if someone tells me they have a headache, I don't just think you have a TBI concussion. Someone starts telling me they have difficulty with their vision, difficulty sleeping, concentrating, loud noises, bright lights bother them. There's a million different things, but those are some of the biggest things that we look for, short-term memory, etc. That's when, kind of our light bulb goes off of like, okay, we really need to get this evaluated and start working on this, because many patients think if they didn't hit their head on the steering wheel or on the back chair, well, there's no way I could have hurt my brain because I didn't hit it on anything. There's an injury called a coup contra coup injury, and your brain is actually hitting the front and back of your skull. And that's probably more dangerous than hitting your head on something, because you're smashing into, think of how hard your skull is. I know your mom told you how hard of a head you had. So that's like something that a lot of people don't realize is brain injuries are not just for people that hit their heads. Just that hard rocking motion can cause that brain to hit the skull, causing that injury, causing those things like I told you, the sensitivity to light, difficulty sleeping, memory, concentration, things like that. So our clinic is all of our therapists are certified through the American Institute of Balance. It is an amazing program down in the Clearwater area that one of the top neurologists in Jacksonville kind of educated us on and said, I would really like for you guys to go there so we can use you as our preferred providers. Went down there, and I mean, we were like 8 years, 2 years, and 4 years, 5 years out of school. I mean, we had treated hundreds and thousands of patients, and 50% of what we learned down there we had never heard in our life.
Wow.
Which is so incredible for, licensed therapists to have no idea what's going on with this. So I think there might only be like one other clinic in Jacksonville, one other company that does the TBI concussion therapy. There's a lot that say they do. Most of them put you on a computer and have you read some things like, okay, your therapy's up. We do everything from, working on your short-term memory, getting you to, a lot of it is adapting back to being able to tolerate things. We start in a dark room, lights come on slowly. We start with really easy questions. They get more difficult. We add balance into it while we're making you answer questions. We add hand-eye coordination to it while you're having to count backwards from 30 by 3. If you did it right now, it might take you a minute, but try standing on a balance pad with one foot in front of the other, fighting for your life and then trying to count backwards. I mean, you get a lot of cool things that we do. We have these new K plates that are biofeedback sensors where you're standing on them and it tells you exactly the percentage of weight on both feet, forward, backward, left, right, rocking. You can do tests on them, but then you can also train on them. You can hop on them and all of a sudden you put the iPad in front of the patient and they're surfing on a wave and they got to dodge sharks and they got to, go around this stuff and pick up other things for more points. And, almost like a Nintendo Wii back in the day, but just way more fancy. So
Interesting.
yeah, a lot of cool stuff with that. I definitely can't stress enough, at least get to a neurologist if you're having any of those things that I named. Headaches, most people are going to get because neck pain can cause headaches. Any of those other things, I would, especially if you have more than one, I would definitely try to get to a neurologist, and then ask, is there therapy for this? Because the vestibular therapy is what we do. And that's what I would Google. I would look up vestibular therapy in my area, and look for somebody that has certifications in vestibular therapy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you did that stuff.
Yeah, it's cool, man. We started about 2 years ago, and we get students and we take students every few months, and you forget what you didn't know before you took this class. It's so second nature to us now. And the one thing I'll say about social media, I'm not the biggest fan of social media, but the one thing I'll say is, through my business account, we follow a whole bunch of vestibular related physical therapy across the country and across the world. And it's cool because they see us post things. They're like, oh man, that's so cool. Then we see them post things. And so we've been giving shout outs and sharing videos and doing things like that. The newest one I saw that we haven't even incorporated at our company yet is, you take a deck of cards. We do a whole bunch of stuff with cards, matching games, different things. You put a black card down, you have to lift your right hand. If you put a face card down, you got to lift your leg. So if it's a black face card, it's your right leg. If it's a black number card, it's your right arm. So on and so forth. And you start going through and getting the patients reacting to that. But the newest one is, I saw is you cut the cards. You can either cut them in fourths is what we'll do. So there's the number is in all four corners of the card. And then you just take, say 10 cards. Now there's 40 pieces and you got to start matching up clubs to clubs, diamonds to diamonds, sixes to sixes, so on and so forth. That sounds easy, but when you have a brain injury, it's really difficult to concentrate, really difficult. So it's just some cool stuff that we do, getting patients back to, to the lives that they need to live. Because I think the least known thing about brain injuries is how much improvement you can get from them. I mean, it's incredible. People come in and they can't complete sentences. They can't see bright lights. They can't handle loud noises, and they leave going back to nursing on the floor. All there is bright lights, loud sounds, and fast, chaotic. That's one of the stories that I think of a patient that really comes to mind about that.
Now, we're coming to an end, so I want to be mindful of your time and everything. We didn't even get to talk about golf.
Oh, okay.
Which
we need 2 more hours.
That'll be like episode 2. I'm not even going to bring it up, but we'll cover some stuff and we'll link all your stuff for your golf simulators.
Birdies at Bold City. Yep.
Birdies at Bold City. Is there something we didn't talk about that you want to share?
Man, I feel like we hit some good stuff. Are you sure we're not 5 minutes in?
Right? I could keep going.
Very, very, very briefly. Our locations are in the downtown Riverside area, and then on San Jose down in Mandarin, South San Jose, South Mandarin. We have a golf simulator in Riverside and a golf simulator in San Jose. We do unlimited memberships, 24/7 employee list, which is really fun because you come in, you meet the person, you teach them how to use everything, set it all up, and then everything is booked remotely through an app. They get codes to get in the doors, no problem. And they just get to kind of come and enjoy. You can bring 2 guests every time you come, work on your game. You can play courses like TPC Sawgrass, Augusta, Pebble Beach, so on and so forth. So really cool stuff with that. That's going to be a new simulator company out of Asia that a really amazing gentleman, Jonathan Uyang. He is a representative for RG Golf, and they are everywhere in Asia, huge in Canada, and working their way into the States. So I believe we're going to be the only one in the state of Florida, which won't last long because this technology is incredible. So we're going to help him out a little bit. It's as like a showcase room kind of thing where he can kind of bring people in and show them the technology.
Wow.
But he just worked with us amazingly to be able to get this technology, and he's engineering the look of it and the padding, all the way from the padding on the walls to the LED lights to, just incredible. So that'll be really cool down there. One thing about that program is they have a fairway, rough, and bunker. So you actually have different surfaces you're hitting off of.
Oh, wow.
Which everything with a simulator is how did the ball launch, how much spin, side spin, back spin, how high, so on, how fast the ball was moving. And so with this one, when it comes to hitting out of a different like terrain,
Texture.
it spins differently. It doesn't shoot as high. It doesn't, all those things change like they would in the real world. But when you're hitting off the same surface every time, you don't really get that feedback. You're hitting a bunker shot off of carpet. It's not the same, but all of a sudden they've come up with this technology to mimic a bunker, to mimic rough and stuff like that. So
that's
really,
cool.
really cool stuff.
And you guys train too.
We do. Yeah.
And you're certified
TPI, not to be confused with traumatic brain injury, Titleist Performance Institute, which, I'm a little biased, but they are the upfront leaders in all of golf training at the moment. Almost every single leading golf teacher in the world is TPI certified. I think it's 49 of the top 50. I think there's always that one outlier, but they've all gone through that training because it's the understanding of how the body works in the golf swing. So I'm the master of how does your body work in that golf swing? Then you have your golf coach, who we've teamed up with, John Mousley, and our friend Dave Myers. John Mousley is level 3 certified, which is the highest level of TPI certified. So he really understands the body training and really relies on me to, hey, this person's right hip is not rotating, which is why they're swaying, which is why they're coming over the top, which is why they're slicing. I'll work on the body, you work on the swing. So it's this teamwork of just incredible that for how many years, we've come so far in technology with a lot of things, but it's really incredible to think of how people have swung and played in the past when they had no idea why. And now we realize it's because, for example, Jack Nicklaus had a floating elbow. Well, he didn't have the external rotation to get to where he should have been. He was an incredible athlete in other sports, All-American in football, basketball, all these things. Maybe he had a lot of damage from throwing sports and then was trying to play golf. So he didn't keep that elbow in like most people do. He had a floating elbow. He's arguably tied for the greatest player of all time. So there's a lot of ways around injuries, and understanding why you do certain things is half the battle.
Now, being an employee, a husband, a brother, owning your own business, going through life's craziness, having the faith that you have had, what do you define as a life well balanced?
Start the clock over. Truthfully, I think just to make a really long answer short, be present in everything that you do. Don't be at work when you're at home. Don't be at home when you're at work. If you're going to have time to go have fun with the boys, go have fun with the boys. Don't be on your phone answering phone calls and emails, guilty, while you're doing that, because that's a very short amount of time that you have that you're not going to get back. You can answer those emails later. So I think be present, whether it's fun, whether it's work, whether it's home, whatever it is. And the reason I say that is because I know how much I struggle with this. And so I want to A, consciously think about it, and B, kind of put that in other people's minds of, you're going to be, most people are who they are until other outside effects come onto it. So if you're only thinking about work at home, you're no longer yourself. Well, your wife married you. She didn't marry you not present while thinking about work because some fire came up. That fire's going to be there tomorrow. If you're not careful, she may not be there tomorrow. Shout out to Bailey for 13 years of sticking by my side through all the ups and downs and being yelled at for buying t-shirts.
So where can people find you?
We are at Bold City Therapy. That'll be our Facebook and our Instagram. www.boldcitytherapy.com is our website. Like I said, we're in the downtown Riverside area is one location. San Jose Boulevard, South Mandarin is another. And Birdies at Bold City is going to be our social media for the golf portion. So, and like I said, training, memberships, all the above. So those are really the easiest ways to find us there. We put some really funny, cool stuff out on social media. So I don't do it myself.
I do like your social media.
I don't do it myself.
It's not your typical.
We try to be serious, but we try to have a lot of fun. Therapists doing challenges that we should not be trying, that we're going to get hurt at one day. But just some really cool educational, but at the same time, give you some good laughs.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So we do a speed round at the end.
Okay.
It's called balanced or unbalanced. So I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to tell me if it's balanced or if it's unbalanced. Okay. If you want to elaborate more, you can. If we want to keep moving, We'll
Cool.
keep moving. Cool?
Yep.
Balanced or unbalanced, carrying financial stress silently.
So if I'm balanced, I'm not doing that, or I am.
So it's not about you. It's just
Oh, should you carry?
So like carrying financial stress is unbalanced.
Oh,
Or
okay.
carrying financial stress is balanced.
Carrying financial balance
So-
silently is unbalanced.
Okay.
And I'm very guilty of that because I do our finances and I do spend a lot of time and effort making sure that we're setting ourselves up for future. But at the same time, I know the stresses of, like I said, the first couple years, or you make an investment that doesn't go the way you want it, so on and so forth. That turns into barking at your wife when she asks you to do something simple. That turns into, not being genuine or sympathetic to your patients while you're in front of them. So
Yeah. Balanced or unbalanced, normalizing pain as a part of getting older.
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm going to say both because let's face it, getting old isn't for sissies. That is an actual quote from my grandmother. Getting old is not for sissies. I like to think of arthritis like rust. I think everyone understands rust and they see rust, and we're all going to rust. We start at about age 30. It's just going to happen. However, if you have a whole bunch of opportunity to delay the rust and lessen that rust, arthritis, that's the unbalanced part. Is the worst thing you can ever do is not move. Motion is lotion. When you don't have the joint fluid moving into there, everything breaks down, everything hurts, you move less. Now you're moving here. Then it hurts more, then you move less. Now you're down here. Then it hurts more, then you move less. It's a never-ending circle. Break that cycle, hurt because you are moving, and give it a month. And after that month, I guarantee you hurt less, and then you're just going to want to continue up that ladder.
Oh, man. Balanced or unbalanced, using golf as mental therapy and a business.
It literally has built 50+% of my business.
Really?
And I don't mean golf in the sense of like the sport. It's okay. You know this is better than anybody. Nick has done a ton of marketing in his day. If you get face to face with the decision maker for 5 minutes, would you say that that's a win?
Yeah.
What about 4 hours?
That's a major win.
What about 4 hours out of the office, potentially having a couple drinks and a good time?
Well, that's what I've always tried to do with marketing is create an experience. And then that way you get the presence from that person and it's memorable because you're creating that experience and that personal touch.
Yep. I mean, showing someone who you are for a 4-hour period, I might talk about work for 5 minutes, but I think they leave realizing, all right, this is a really genuine dude. He looks like he cares. He looks like he does the right thing. I'm more than happy to work with him.
People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it.
Exactly.
Yep. Balanced or unbalanced, measuring success by stability instead of growth.
Ooh, I would say that's very balanced.
Okay.
Growth is a huge problem. It's a great problem, but it's a huge problem. Everything changes. Everything that you thought you were going to do forever changes. Specifically business speaking.
Yeah.
You start with one software, well, they can't keep up with it anymore. You move to the next software. You start with one building, that building can't keep up with it anymore. You move to the next building. So stability is so important when it comes to whatever you can stabilize.
Yeah. Balanced or unbalanced, feeling responsible for other people's livelihood.
100% balanced. I think if you're a business owner and you don't think about your employees' livelihood, I don't think you should own a business.
Yeah. Letting faith guide financial decisions.
100% balanced. I don't think there's anything more important, and I definitely need to do a better job at that. I struggle thinking that money is mine. That's money is God's given to you. He's letting you borrow that money.
It's a currency.
It's a currency.
Yeah.
And it's his currency. And I think going back to growing up with little and never having money to spend, we might go out to eat once a week growing up, and that was a big financial, and that was Chili's or Arby's. And that was a big financial thing for my parents that, we couldn't. And so, yeah.
Balanced or unbalanced, letting go of control as the business grows.
I'll never let go. I think you need to learn to delegate if you're ever going to grow and you're ever going to be successful. And I have delegated a ton, and I need to delegate a lot more.
Balanced or unbalanced, ignoring minor aches until they become major problems.
Is this physical pain in a body?
Physical pain in a body.
I would say it's unbalanced, but I do want to say, we get patients that are like, my knee pops when I move it. Well, most of ours do. That's nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
What functionally is being taken away from your life? I can't sleep anymore. I can't concentrate anymore. My neck pain gives me headaches. It's affecting my work. Those are things where you need to get on top of these things. If your knee pops when you get out of bed in the morning, that means you're a person. Everybody's does. So
I'm a lot of a person.
Exactly. Don't just go run into the ER because, one thing hurts once. Let it be a repetitive thing.
My little girl always goes, "Why are you so cracky?"
Like the Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. It's funny. Bob Wiltfong, who was just here, he worked on the Dave Chappelle show
goodness,
too.
That's awesome.
Balanced or unbalanced, believing pain tolerance is strength.
I would say unbalanced. I think you need to listen to yourself. You need to listen to your body. You need to listen to your brain. And that's the best advice I give patients. And some people, I will say most of the people that tell you how strong their pain tolerance is have really low pain tolerances. So that's one thing that I've learned in 15 plus years of doing physical therapy. Whoever brags about their pain tolerance typically has really low levels of pain tolerance.
Interesting.
And whoever doesn't say a word about it has much higher.
That's like my wife, Olivia, is like her pain tolerance.
I mean, she has one of the more
wild.
severe injuries that we've seen, and she just a trooper and fights through it.
She runs it. Strong.
Wow.
Balanced or unbalanced, coming on the Life Well Balanced podcast.
Couldn't be more balanced. I love this. This was so much fun. First podcast I've ever done. So
you're doing great.
I was the first to buy the book. And
you look like you've done this before.
Oh man, it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
This is great, dude.
I like to talk. Tell.
Thank you so much for coming out here. It has been an absolute pleasure. And it is always wonderful spending some time with you, brother.
90 years more to come.
Yeah, baby. The Life Well Balanced podcast is proudly supported by Cole PR Software Consultants. Cole PR helps small businesses, nonprofits, and government organizations bring their big ideas to life through custom software, AI-powered solutions, and seamless system integrations. Whether it's building smarter workflows, creating secure digital platforms, or scaling your technology with confidence, Cole PR combines global talent with practical delivery to make innovation accessible and affordable. Visit coleprsc.com to learn more about future-proof solutions built for today.